In Arthur's Pass, you'll find a number of amazing walks. Some take you further into the mountains, up the mountains, over the mountains, and down into the valleys on the other side. These walks in New Zealand are called tramps. One of my favourites is up a very steep mountainside called Avalanche Peak. For a long time, you climb up through a beautiful, natural native beech forest, and you can pretend, without a lot of effort, that you're back in time somewhere, maybe in the Jurassic. As you climb, the forest begins to shorten in height, thins out, and then, almost by magic, you come to the bushline, and in front of you on your climb is nothing but tussock and rock. You get a sense that you've made it. There's a feeling that you're at the top. You can see the ridgeline climb up ahead of you, and you can make out the summit. It's about 50 metres away, so I always think I'll do the last hard yards and stop there. That'll be the summit, 50 metres away. But when I climb further, I find that the knob of rock that I thought was a summit is actually just hiding another peak further up the ridge. Still, it's manageable. It's maybe 20 metres away. I carry on, so I don't stop. I don't pause and take a look-see at where I've been. I miss the last sounds of the bush birds. I miss the gecko bathing in the sun. I miss the view of the valley below and how I can see the people in the car park below mingling around like little dots, worrying about their packets of crisps and remembering to blow on their hot pies. I carry on. My legs are heavier now, but I'm still enjoying the climb. And because the summit's just up there, I get a pinch of adrenaline that flows through my legs, helping me put in an extra effort. As I climb the final 20 metres, it becomes more and more obvious that this isn't going to be the summit after all. For a couple of metres, I wonder if my eyes are playing tricks on me. Yes, it is the summit. Yes, I'm sure it is. I tell myself. But then I realise it isn't. It's just another rocky outcrop. I've climbed Avalanche Peak many times. I should know what to expect. This is a climb of multiple false summits. Sometimes when the weather is fine, you can see the false summits climbing up into the sky in front of you. But other times, if it's raining or the clouds surround you like a mist, then you've got no idea where you're actually at. Once you do finally reach the top, it is amazing. It's so worth it. But often the wind is howling up there and it's freezing cold. The sweat on your back quickly changes from its godsend role of cooling you down during your exercise-generated frenzy to being just another freezing temperature for you to endure. I'd like to spend all day on the summit, but I never do. I'd like to take my time and take a really long look at what I've achieved, but I never do. I now need to get back down before I freeze. On my climb, there have been so many missed opportunities to enjoy what I've achieved. There have been so many chances to celebrate the tiny triumphs of my climb. The summit has been worth it, there's no doubt about that. But there's been so much that I've failed to see along the way. This is a great parable for our principal leadership journey. You may have summited many times in your career as you've achieved your goals and nailed your targets. That's certainly true. But what did you miss out on during the climb? What have you missed seeing, missed experiencing, missed being stunned by? Hi everyone, it's my pleasure to bring you this leadership module. Today we're talking about tiny triumphs and why it's important as a leader to take time to celebrate and recognize all the great things, even those little things that occur around you. Don't spend time always looking at the end prize. Take time to enjoy the journey. So let's get into it. I've always believed that lasting success, that sort of success that imprints itself onto the culture of your school or organization, well, it's not born from one big sweeping triumph. No, it comes from a culmination of countless small, consistent wins. Leaders who grasp this understand the power of momentum and morale. They realize quickly that by celebrating the tiny triumphs, that it keeps their teams motivated, reinforces positive behaviors, and builds a culture of resilience. It's these small victories, recognized and appreciated, that create the steady foundation for long-term achievements. Ignoring the little wins is like building a house and forgetting the bricks. Each one matters, and together they form something solid and enduring. Recognizing achievements makes the members of your team feel valued and appreciated. It helps them find meaning and purpose in what they're doing. When people see their efforts acknowledged, it makes them feel great, strengthens their connection to the team and the group as a whole, and fosters a positive work environment. The members of your team are more motivated to stay and to contribute positively, reducing turnover and enhancing overall job satisfaction. Celebrating individual achievements is uniquely personal because everyone values recognition just a little bit differently. What feels meaningful to one person might not resonate with another. Some team members thrive on public praise while others appreciate a private acknowledgement or just a simple handwritten note. By taking the time to understand how each person prefers to be appreciated, leaders show genuine care and they build trust and they make their recognition truly impactful. It's not about one size fits all, it's about making every celebration count. So why do tiny triumphs even matter? The cynics amongst us might even argue, who cares? Why waste time mentioning the small achievements that everyone experiences? Well, I don't want to sound negative, but leaders who fail to take time with recognizing the day-to-day tiny triumphs in their teams risk eroding morale and motivation. Over time, employees may feel undervalued and disengaged, leading to a drop in productivity and a lack of trust in your leadership. This neglect can foster resentment, increase turnover, and weaken the team's overall cohesion. Tiny triumphs actually build the foundation for big successes. Ignoring them is actually a fast-track way to losing both momentum and talent. But more than that, by ignoring them, you're actually risking celebrating those everyday things that make us human. Unsurprisingly, there's actually a lot of science out there that backs this all up. Science shows us that celebrating tiny triumphs triggers dopamine in the brain, reinforcing motivation and creating a positive cycle of progress. Let's start with that nasty stress hormone called cortisol. Okay, so calling it nasty doesn't really tell the whole story. It's not really nasty at all. But it's the body's primary stress hormone, and it's released by the adrenal glands during those times when you feel stressed or in danger. It's part of the body's fight or flight response. It plays a crucial role in regulating the various bodily functions, including your metabolism, blood sugar levels, and your immune response. Short bursts of cortisol are great for helping the body respond to challenges, but prolonged or excessive release can lead to negative effects such as anxiety, high blood pressure, weight gain, and weakened immunity. Managing stress effectively is key to keeping cortisol levels in check and maintaining overall health. So, celebrating the good stuff regularly, well, the tiny triumphs really do help alleviate the need for cortisol to be released. It's a great thing. Instead, celebrating tiny triumphs helps release another hormone, dopamine. By appreciating these little steps, we release dopamine, a neurotransmitter in the brain linked to feelings of pleasure and motivation. When you acknowledge small achievements, your brain rewards you with a surge of dopamine, reinforcing the positive behavior and encouraging you to keep going. This chemical boost improves focus, mood, and drive, creating a cycle of progress and satisfaction. It's your brain's way of saying, well done, let's do more of this. And because people love that dopamine rush, it encourages them to just keep on going. It also stops them from looking for their dopamine elsewhere, in the dark world of too much alcohol, drugs, and other risky behavior. All in all, by consistently recognizing and promoting these naturally occurring celebrations, these tiny triumphs, appreciating even the very smallest of them, you as a leader can foster a more positive and motivated environment. Dopamine release or not, you're building a culture that is actually a fun place to be part of. So how do we do this? How do we go about recognizing those tiny triumphs? Well, it's easy to break down your big long-term goals into bite-sized bits and to actively recognize these milestones when they're reached. Do this as a team, working backwards from the achieved goal or vision and agreeing on set points along the way that will be celebrated. This works well as it gets everyone on board right from the start. It helps people maintain focus and stay on track. This is the planned tiny triumphs route. For me though, the best way forward is to be as authentic and organic as possible. This means not planning for it, but being super aware and awake to the possibility that anything might occur at any time, and that this anything is worth mentioning and acknowledging. Okay, so let's take a deep dive into some effective celebration strategies. Starting your meetings with a round of recognition is a great place to start. This recognition doesn't even have to have anything to do with the workplace. Maybe it's a personal tiny triumph. Personalized thank you notes are great as well. Make them as authentic as possible by writing them by hand. Yep, it's easier to type and push print, but getting a note by hand is always way more special. Human beings love rewards. Be creative with these. Ask your team to brainstorm a whole heap of cool ideas, throw them in a jar like a lucky dip, and use it when a tiny triumph comes up. Often it's not the reward that counts, it's the recognition that fuels a sense of purpose and inspires them to continue giving their best. Rewards serve as a reminder that their efforts actually matter, helping to boost their morale and reignite their passion for guiding and influencing others. For leaders and teachers alike, appreciation is actually a powerful motivator. For the planned steps that are achieved, go big. Visual celebrations are awesome for this. Let everyone know that something's been achieved. Shout it out loud. I've always been a big fan of third-party affirmations. This is when you share the tiny triumph of a team member with someone else, and then they take time to track down the team member and tell them what they've achieved. You know, like, hey, Mary, Jim and I were just talking about how you just biked 151 kilometers on the Otago Rail Trail during the weekend. We think that's pretty mighty fantastic. Third-party affirmations are like a good, positive version of gossip. And how about digital affirmations? Well, there's a heap of ways online that you can let people know that their tiny triumph means a lot. Set up a dedicated messenger group with everyone on it. Really important not to miss anyone out, okay? And use it to spread the good news. Yes, personalized celebration ideas are great, but they take time and sometimes they come across as just a little bit too much. It's a tiny triumph after all. You haven't just won the 1500 meters at the Olympics. So make sure that celebrations are proportionate to the accomplishment. Of course, understanding your team and knowing the accomplishment achieved is crucial. You know, for some people, double-siding a report on a photocopier is almost as great as winning the 1500 meters. Okay, so we're almost there. Celebrating the tiny triumphs experienced on our journeys, whether it be individually or as a team, is a fantastic way of building team culture. And just as importantly, it gives us an insight into the meaning and purpose of our lives. And it's incredibly fun. Don't forget the fun. One final quote. This one's from American long-distance runner and author Kara Goucher. Everything, even our tiny triumphs, happen one step at a time.